Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has launched a Canada-U.S. Relations Council as part of the response to Donald Trump's tariff threat. Former Alberta Premier Rachel Notley is a member of that council, and she joins us now live in Edmonton. Thank you so much for being with us.
Good to be here.
Okay, so first I want to get a sense of what was discussed as part of the strategy in this meeting, the first meeting that was held for this council.
Well, I mean, I think what was probably the most impressive thing at the outset was the range of folks who were in the room from representing different sectors, cross partisanship, and certainly from different regions of the country. And so, we came together and we talked about the shared objectives and concerns that folks have with respect to the threats that we're seeing come out of the U.S. And there was quite a diverse amount of expertise that was offered in the conversation, and the common theme, of course, was the need to take these issues very seriously and to demonstrate a high level of unity.
Now, we know that, of course, Trump's inauguration is just days away. So I'm wondering, out of this first meeting, and one imagines that strategies need to be expedited, is there a plan on people who individuals such as yourselves might be talking to? We certainly heard the Prime Minister say that he wants to draw on the experience of all of the people on this council, but also the contacts.
Well, absolutely. And so I think that folks who are on that council are going to be reaching out to their, their connections, their allies, their stakeholders, the people with whom they've built relationships over the years across the country, to talk to them about the issues and to hear from them about their concerns and also their ideas about how they can best help. I think, what we know from having been through this before, and I'm not to suggest that this is the same thing again, but we did go through this in 2016, 2017 when I was premier, and we had an all hands on deck Team Canada approach then, and there was a tremendous amount of work across the continent, quite frankly, then, and we're going to be working to bring to bear a lot of those similar resources in a number of different ways.
Now, we know that our colleagues at Radio Canada are reporting that the federal government is planning $37 billion in initial counter tariffs on targeted imports from the United States. So what impact might that move have on this threat that we're facing, but also have on the Canadian economy?
I think certainly the expectation is that the first round of response, should they have to go to that level, would have a relatively minimal impact on the Canadian economy, but would get the attention of key stakeholders south of the border. It's one part of, I think, as I said, a much larger strategy, but I think that's the idea is that we would start there. But again, it is all a little bit hypothetical at this point. We're gonna wait and see what happens, and then we're gonna respond in a measured way.
Let's talk a little bit about your province too, because certainly I'm sure you've been watching what has been happening with the current Premier, Danielle Smiths, and the message that is coming out of her office when it comes to oil and gas and energy, and that being off the table. And we certainly heard the Prime Minister saying nothing is off the table. How do you see, I guess, from her perspective, because that's certainly a perspective you've had as well, how do you see that, but also play into the joint Team Canada front?
Well, listen, nobody can live in Alberta and not understand the importance of the oil and gas industry, not only to Albertans and Alberta families and Alberta workers, but also to all Canadians. And that was a thing that was front and center when I was in government, and it continues to be. And so I'm not here to offer up any particular strategies with respect to that. What I will say is that, certainly I and many of the folks who I speak to and who I think I can even speak on behalf of, are proud Albertans within the country of Canada that we love. And my view of things is that our country has a long history of punching well above its weight when it comes into a position of being in serious conflict. And one of the ways we do that is by coming together with a high level of unity and an even higher level of discipline. And I think that that discipline and that unity and that love of country and province is what the people of Alberta deserve from their premier. And I hope that we will see more of that kind of character demonstrated in days to come.
You know, taking a look here at statistics from the U.S. Census Bureau, top U.S. imports from Canada in 2023, oil and gas, $103.2 billion. Wondering if you were the Premier of Alberta, would you also say that oil and gas should be off the table, given how powerful that commodity can be?
I'm not going to really get that far down a hypothetical highway. What I will say is that the conversations around the multiple strategies and levers that are available to leaders across the country need to be held in confidence, and we need to approach our response in a very strategic and, as I said, disciplined way. So what I don't think is helpful is having, worst case scenario strategies widely discussed in broad hypothetical ways for our opponents to chew on before we get anywhere close to that position. So I think that has been a very unhelpful contribution to the work that Canada as a whole needs to do, and that Canadians need their leaders to engage in. And as I said before, I very much hope that the Premier will recalibrate her tone and her commitment, not only to Albertans, but to the country as a whole.
And finally, in the last 30 seconds I have with you, you represented Alberta's interests during Donald Trump's first term. Wondering what strategies, what lessons you might take away, what strategies were most effective going forward?
Well, and some of those strategies I think will still be in play. And what we found there was that there are times we look at Canada and we think, oh my goodness, we have so many things that divide us. But I will say that in the U.S., multiply that by 100. And so what's really important for us to do is to work hard with those folks within the U.S. whose interests align with ours. And let's be clear, that's the majority of American citizens, quite frankly. They all benefit from this incredible trade relationship that we have between the two countries. And so it's a matter of looking at specific stakeholders, specific opinion leaders, people with specific interests, and ensuring that we build those alliances, we remind people of those relationships, and we find ways to ensure that pressure is applied not only by Canadians to Americans, but by Americans to Americans, because they know that it's actually their economic security that is as at risk as ours.
Rachel Notley just joined us from Edmonton, Alberta. She is the former Premier of Alberta and now part of the Canada-U.S. Relations Council. Thank you so much for your time today.